And for us to hear your testimony and for us to hear your stories, it really warms my heart, and I know that there's bravery left in this country, and you represent that, you embody that. Ms. Nungary, I am a fellow Houstonian, and I want to especially thank you for being here. Your tragedy hit very close home to me. Your testimony is heartbreaking, and 2 illegal aliens walked across the border thanks to the Biden-Harris administration's open border policies within months of being in this country that took the life of your young daughter, Jocelyn, which is ridiculous. And I'm a co-sponsor, and I'm also strong supportive of the swift passage of the Justice for Jocelyn Act so that no child or parent will ever have to experience this tragedy again and sit before us in this hearing room again. Thank you for being here. A question for you as well, ma'am, if you're open to it. I would like to give you the opportunity to tell us anything that you have not mentioned in your testimony about your beautiful daughter, Jocelyn.
I didn't want to press what she was. She was a child. I believe all of us as adolescents have done things our parents wouldn't recommend to do. We didn't always all listen to our parents, and a lot of kids just want to have fun, and a lot of these children really do believe that they're invincible, and they don't know the harms that they have and that are right in front of them in this world, and a lot of them are being preyed on. And my daughter really should have felt safe to, even if it was late at night, which she had no business doing, we know, but she should have been able to walk a couple minutes from our home and be able to safely get home without having to be lured somewhere by being the helpful little girl she was just trying to help them get to wherever it was they were going, and they took advantage of her.
Thank you. Again, this touches home to me because I have 2 daughters, Olivia and Victoria. If some of this happened to them, I actually don't know what I would do. Actually, I have an idea, and I probably wouldn't be in Congress anymore. So I understand your frustration, and you're right. Our children should be able to walk these streets safely, no matter what hour, no matter what decisions that they make. The left keeps saying that statistically Americans commit more crimes than non-Americans in this country. Well, I'll let my colleagues on the left to know that these mothers that are dealing with this understand that that's actually not true. And in fact, police sources told the New York Post that around 75% of people arrested in Midtown Manhattan, which is not necessarily a direct border state, in recent months, they've been illegal aliens. The federal government must do everything it can to protect American citizens. That's actually our sole purpose. That's our #1 job. And we can do that. It's simple. We need to reestablish the immigration and border policies that worked under President Trump. This is not difficult. My colleagues on the left want to say this is not political and it doesn't matter who your guy or gal is. Yes, it does. It really does, actually. And because if President Trump were in office right now, we wouldn't be sitting here. And I don't care what political affiliation that you have. Those are facts. Kamala Harris wants you to confuse her border policies now because now she's claiming that she supports Trump's border policies, and she wants you to believe that she's tough on the border. But we know that's not true. And as we know, that the best predictor of future performance is past performance. There's been a lot of talk today about policies. House Republicans in May of last year passed H.R. 2, the Secure the Border Act. House Republicans have done our part to attempt to prevent these tragedies from occurring and happening again. But the Democrat-led Senate didn't even take up the bill. If you think things are bad right now, if Kamala Harris, our borders are, is back in office after November the 5th, we will continue to have these hearings. We are doing this to elucidate the American people, to let them know that we have got to stop this from happening in this country, and we have the ability to do just that. I'll end with this. I have 18 seconds left, and I want to tell you, I could see your faces right now. Ma'am, this picture in front of me has really touched my heart. I took a picture of it, and I will show it to my children, and I will show it to those people in Houston, Texas, to prevent this from happening again. I can see the pain on your face. As a father, I understand exactly how you feel. As a combat veteran, and tomorrow is 9/11. As a combat veteran that went to war after 9/11, I fought for this country to keep these animals from killing our young children. I will continue to fight tirelessly to do just that. Thank you so much. Thank you for your bravery. God bless you all. And we are trying our best to prevent these tragedies from ever happening again. Thank you so much for being here.
Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for this hearing today, and thank you, ladies, for being here. When I was in the South Carolina legislature, chaired an opioid task force that was our state's response to the opioid epidemic. And at the beginning of every hearing we did, you get into the policy, right? You get into the weeds of where you are and how do you get out of this. But we always started and ended every hearing with the faces and voices of those who are going through this themselves. And so it's incredibly brave for you to be here. Really appreciate you sharing these stories. I know it's not easy to do so, but thank you. Ms. Nungary, your daughter Jocelyn was murdered by Venezuelan nationals who entered the country illegally, and they were released into the country with notices to appear in front of an immigration court. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And one of them had an ICE ankle monitor when he murdered your daughter. This to me is just like incredibly unfathomable that we're allowing these individuals into this country. What does it say about the policies of the Biden-Harris administration? Are there border policies or lack thereof working for the American people?
There's a huge lack for public safety for us U.S. citizens. We should be able to feel safe throughout all cities of the United States, and it is a very, very broken, failed system. And I'm very appalled to be in this country because of how failed it is, especially after losing my daughter. We should be safe, and that shouldn't be a question, that shouldn't be a privilege, that should be a requirement. As a U.S. citizen, we should be safe at all times.
No, I completely agree with you, and unfortunately there are so many that are similarly situated to you and all of you that are going through this. Ms. Nobles, I want to turn to you. The illegal alien who murdered your daughter was an unaccompanied minor when he entered the United States. Once he committed murder, local police were able to determine that he was actually in a gang, MS-13, and had a criminal record in El Salvador. Can you tell us what happened when Martinez became custody of Child Protective Services after he murdered your daughter?
The Aberdeen Police Department asked CPS to put him in a secure location because of the crimes that he was, being what he did. And they agreed to put him in a secure location. When they went to go arrest him, they found out that it was a group home, and he was in a group home with other children. And the local police said, "Oh, this is secure." They did not know, CPS did not let the Aberdeen Police Department know that they moved him from the group home to a foster home and enrolled him in high school.
And what types of freedoms did he have after he did this? You said he was enrolled in high school, which is...
He was put in high school with 1,400 other students, knowing that he was in a premeditated first-degree murder case, rape and assault.
Exposed to all these other individuals.
All these other individuals, and it makes me so angry that they put other children at risk.
If Kamala Harris were here right in this committee hearing today, she was sitting here on the House side, what questions would you have of her?
Well, actually, I would say, well, you can have Walter come live with you, because Kayla was murdered in her own bed. She was sleeping, and she had to wake up to this monster breaking into her room and strangling her with her own phone cord. She can have him.
But she won't.
Of course she don't want them in her house, but she's all for him, and it's not a joke. I would tell her, this is not a joke. You're laughing. These are real people, real children who had lives and was taken from them in the worst way.
Thank you for that. Ms. Moore, I want to turn to you. In your testimony, you talked about how the Border Patrol let a man with an open Interpol warrant for murder enter our country. Do you feel safe under the broader policies of the Biden-Harris administration?
Mr. Fry, Mr. Morton stepped away.
Stepped away. Well, any of you, do you feel safe under the Biden-Harris policies?
No, they chose to give people that have never contributed to our country the possibility of a better life while making the lives of the citizens worse. while risking public safety. They gambled because it's not their lives to gamble with. They have their private security. They have bulletproof car vehicles. They live in gated communities. What about everybody else that has to live with these individuals in their communities? And going back to the case of Maria Gonzalez, her neighbor was one of those individuals that was brought here. He was an unaccompanied minor. And ironically, since he left his town in Guatemala, the murders of little girls stopped.
You know, it's remarkable to me, and I was listening in my office or listening to the commentary on the other side. I'm happy to work on securing the border. But every time that we have come forward with a bill or a policy initiative to do that you actually secure the border, that you stop the flow of people who don't know why they're in the country, that we stop the criminals from coming into the country, they don't engage. They shut down debate. They say we're engaged in conspiracy theories. In fact, you know what's so strange? One of the first hearings that I was ever in this room, the ranking member said that we were imagining a border crisis. That is insanity. Y'all are living this every single day, and there are millions of people who are in your shoes. Thank you for your bravery today. Thank you for being here. And we will be praying for you and with you and continuing to push this and make sure that we can secure our borders. Thank you.
Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Ruley.
So I spent 6 years in the Ohio Senate, and I'm only in my 3rd month in Congress. So I've seen a lot of testimony over the last 6.5 years. This is the first time I was nervous, being in front of all the mothers. And my days are long. I have a lot of different things, hats I wear in my life. And I came home a couple months ago, and I watched a lot of news, and I saw Jocelyn's picture. Just completely broke down. Anyone that has a daughter, there's no way you could get around that. And I started thinking about what kind of questions I could ask the moms. And like, I'm drawing a blank, and so like my cousin died young, my best friend got killed. So I got like a lot of their moms together so they could help each other and have it's like a coffee group, and they get together and then they talk. Then I was thinking about the ultimate mom, Mary, and how her son was sacrificed, and she had to watch that, and she had to carry on. And you guys are gonna carry on. And you're here, and you are empowering yourself. You have to say this story over and over and over again. And I can't imagine how you wake up in the morning and you don't have her, or your kids, you don't have them with you, and how you go on. All my grandparents were born overseas, and then we celebrated going through Ellis Island. My one grandma, Giannetti, she got stuck in Ellis Island for like a year because there was medical things, and we vetted everybody, and then we assimilated. We're a country of immigrants. We're not anti-immigrant, but we don't know who's here. And you guys are the biggest stories of them all. You know, in Ohio, I know handfuls of people that have been killed in drunk driving that are from illegal aliens that are driving these vehicles and shouldn't be there. I really encourage all of you to continue this venture and don't stop. I mean, and it's easy for me to say, but no matter how bad it hurts, you have to keep telling the story, because people in everyday life, it's just a little blurb of your stories, and it's coming to a theater near them. In Springfield right now, you've heard in Ohio, there's tens of thousands of Haitians that are there. There's a little boy, 11 years old, killed by one of them. I'm not going into all this stories about all the other different cultural things. I'm just talking about bare bones here, and this is Ohio. So I just want to take a second, and I know a couple of the moms are from Maryland. And so when I heard that, like Maryland, and being in Ohio and living our lives, when you hear the border crisis, you think it's Texas or you think it's Arizona. You don't think Maryland, you don't think Ohio, you don't think Vermont, you don't think Massachusetts, you don't think Minnesota, you think Texas. But Maryland is like as far away from the border as you can get. And so just with the moment for the moms that are from Maryland, there's no way you could have ever thought that in your neck of the woods that your kids wouldn't have been safe. And here we are. We have to vet these people. So if the moms from Maryland could just say a word or two.
I didn't think I would be living the journey that I am. I thought Kayla would be safe in her own home. And it's just, it could happen to anyone. It could happen to anyone, anywhere. And you don't have to be close to the border to have this affect you. We picked out a pretty white dress for Kayla for her viewing. She couldn't even wear it. She had to wear a granny dress to be covered from her chin down because of the bruise, because she was covered in bruises and her neck and all that was messed up from the cord. So this could happen to anyone.
Well, I can't thank you enough, and if you can continue the journey, the public needs to know this isn't Democrat or Republican. This is just America, and we could do better. And your kids didn't die in vain. With that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Once again, I want to thank you all for being here and telling your story. Apologize once again for the breaks and they just want to, in some ways, a typical day on Capitol Hill, but we do appreciate your valuable testimony that I think a lot of Americans are going to take to heart. So with that, our committee is, the committee stand, wait, I need to do one other thing. And this concludes today's hearing. We thank our witnesses for appearing. Without objection, all members will have 5 legislative days to submit additional written questions for the witnesses or additional materials for the record. Without objection, the hearing is adjourned.